Hey everybody, happy Thursday. Welcome back. We doubled up this week with another episode. This conversation is special to me for so many reasons. Before we hop into that, I need you to like, share, subscribe, tag a friend. This is going to be a phenomenal conversation. Also, TSP Premium is now available at starting at $3 a month. That way, you can get the exclusive interviews and conversations starting at $3 a month. That is available right now. And be sure to follow me on YouTube and Instagram at Camille.Essick. I am working to build up my YouTube channel. So please be kind. Go over and subscribe right now. With that being said, further ado, Nashville, Tennessee is in the building. These are two ladies I look up to and have done so for over the years. I think they are amazing and phenomenal women. They are taking over their airways in Nashville, Tennessee. So many things I could say about them, but I want to introduce, if you don't know them, I don't know where you've been because you need to catch up, and you're about to tonight. The one and only Lady Shaunte is here, as well as Shree, Isabel. Welcome to the show, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for the invite.
Yes, glad to
You're
be here.
welcome. So for those that may not be familiar, like who are these people? Um, each of you go ahead and let everyone know who you are and a little bit about what you do.
You go first, Lady Shantae.
Okay. Well, hello again. Thank you so much for the invitation, Camille. I'm Lady Shaunte. I'm on air and station manager at WENO 760 AM The Gospel in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm on air middays during the week and super excited to be here today.
And
Sure.
Shree?
Oh, I'm Shree Isabel. Now I'm kind of new to the radio industry, but of course I'm in ministry, preaching ministry, evangelist. My husband and I we have our own internet radio gospel station 24/7 Isabel Radio. I am also part of Lady Shantae's radio family 760. You can hear us every Sunday morning at 8 a.m. Your church before church and your Sunday morning sound.
Woo-hoo.
Oh, you left something out. You left
What
something
part?
out.
Which
Uh,
part?
the legendary Bobby Jones. We just gonna
Oh,
skip right over that like that did not
I'm sorry.
happen.
And I am part of the Nashville Super Choir. I am one of the lead singers for Dr. Bobby Jones and the Nashville Super Choir. You can find us in the African American Music Museum downtown. We are on one of the exhibits there, so that's we're part of history now.
Yes, the super choir. Now, come on now. So, one of the things I want, one of the reasons why I really wanted to have you ladies here was just because we've seen so many changes, and we continue to see changes as far as music, particularly gospel music from, I would say, like the 80s and 90s to where it is now, and how things are evolving and changing. So, how do we move in these spaces, particularly with you two being in radio and music, getting the message out as far as the gospel, maintaining the integrity, but still making it attractive?
Go ahead, Sheree.
I was hoping you would take that one. I just think being relevant and connecting with your audience, I think that is important. But I
Mhm.
think you still have to be true. And of course, Lady Shantae is way more experienced at this than I am. She's probably seen more as far as the changes, as far as the actual radio industry. But being a singer in gospel music, I know for me, I know on our station. We pretty much play everything. We play the contemporary, but we like to kind of hold on to like the old school, like the choir. We support a lot of independent artists. I just think you kind of have to have your ear to the industry to
Okay.
know what's relevant, but yet still not lose your gospel roots, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What do you think,
Yeah,
Lady Shantae?
yeah. I mean, it has changed. I think a lot has changed with the transition from the choirs to the praise teams.
Mhm.
And that has just shifted gospel music as a whole, in my opinion. You hear more of that sound now in terms of new artists coming out. And I agree with Shree. You just have to, first of all, you need to be listening to the Holy Spirit to understand how you need to be relevant, because it doesn't matter what your style is, it doesn't matter what you want to do. If the Holy Spirit is leading and guiding you, then it's going to be the right thing for you. So I don't want artists to get caught up in, well, this is what they doing, or you're trying to be like everybody else. You have to stay in your lane and what God has given to you. Now I know a lot of us who grew up on church choirs, and those of us who are in the industry are trying to bring that. Well, I won't say bring it back; it hasn't left, but
Mhm.
just make people more aware that it's still here. We still love church music, and Nashville is a traditional city.
Yes.
We play the new Maverick Cities and all that, which is amazing. I love their music, but Nashville is a traditional city, and we still like our Shirley Caesars and our John P. Key, right? I mean, you still have church on Sunday morning where choirs are still singing, and so I think it's important that we be mindful that choirs are still very much relevant, and there's still a place for them in radio.
That's really good. I do remember, being a PK growing up, and we saw all of these choir albums, and like you said, going more towards the praise team feel as far as with music. What do you all see as far as the future of choirs in terms of the placement of now versus then?
I know me personally, I'm praying that and there are some absolutely I know I love like Vincent Bohanna. I think he's out of New York. I'm praying that it really makes a comeback.
Mhm.
Like Lady Shaunte said, like that of course we call it CCM. A
Yeah.
lot of our artists um they kind of feel like they have to do that to be relevant.
Mhm.
But I'm really being prayerful that that choir sound comes back. You have you still have Vincent Bohannon, you have uh, uh, Sean Tillery, different ones that are really sticking to that like choir sound. So I don't think it's gone anywhere. I just think it maybe needs to kind of make like a comeback.
Do you think it's like a cycle, like we're going through a cycle of more
It
praise
it, it,
teams?
it always is. Everything always comes back and makes full circle. Comes back to a full circle.
That's really good. My next question to you ladies, as far as in the place of radio, opening the door for others. As I mentioned at the beginning of this conversation, I look up to you, and you two being what I consider leaders in radio, particularly there in Nashville, the importance of a relationship, but also opening the door for someone else as you come through the door.
Yeah, absolutely. I want that a lot. You know what I mean? And I think it's important in any industry that you're in to be looking to where and how you can pass the baton, how you can mentor someone else. And I always say that the cream rises to the top, right? You can tell who wants it, because they're gonna knock on a little more doors. They're gonna offer to. I'll tell you this: when I got started, I was not on the air. I was getting donuts and coffee in the mornings and just sitting in the studio with the person who was teaching me. So I didn't, start off on the air. And so you want to mentor people like that who are okay with whatever role it is that they have to play at the time, to get the information, to be around the people, you know what I mean, to be in the atmosphere and the environment where you can learn and glean. And I think and again, in any industry, that's the mindset that a mentee should have, wanting to learn. And I always tell people, you don't have to kick down any doors. The doors will open for you when you learn how to honor and serve. Like, that's
Mhm.
really the key
Absolutely.
to success in any industry, and especially in music, gospel, radio, because it's a relationship business, right? And so, a lot of times these people that you see with albums and things like that, it's not because they're the best singers. Sometimes they just had a right relationship, and they know how to
Right.
honor people who have opened doors for them. And
That's
so I just
good.
think it's important that being on that side of the track. And I'm still learning. I have a mentor, who I look up to, and she's opened doors for me, and I honor her, and I appreciate what she's done for me, and I want to be like her, And so I just think that is the most important thing that we should be focusing on when we're trying to move through the ranks, or, get through doors and in any industry is, how can I honor, how can I serve? And I'm happy to do that for anybody who wants it, not just somebody who wants to be famous, because a lot of people do that too. They just want to be famous, and that's fine. popularity comes with it, but when it comes to gospel music, it's also a ministry, and your heart got to be right. So,
That's good.
Cherie.
Oh, honey, that girl, I could just sit and listen to you, girl.
I know I'm
Look,
sitting here like, yeah, that is so
yes, honey,
good.
just yeah. And I am so glad, Lady Shaunte, that you brought out about the ministry side of it. Yeah, because I've always said, even about me personally, being a singer, um, I don't know. I've always said I don't know if I'm necessarily built for the industry of
Mhm.
gospel music, but
Why do you
I'm
feel
definitely
that way?
well, because of the games people play, the
Okay.
politics behind it. I want people to be blessed. I ever since a little girl growing up, I've always wanted people to learn about Jesus, because there are some people that they won't necessarily come to a church, but they might listen to a song. And
Okay.
so, but I was just absolutely amazed by what Lady Shaunte was saying. And to piggyback off of what she was saying, I always keep in the back of my mind too that someone opened the door for me.
Mhm.
And so that's one reason why. And I don't want to just keep talking about Isabel Radio, but that's
Oh,
kind
we're
of what
gonna
I have
plug all of the things.
to.
Don't shy away from that because
um,
anytime you come here, if you're Lady Shantae or Shree, I'm going to promote it because I feel like you two have so many other things and you could be doing or other places, and so that's not an issue for me. So
Yeah, but I was saying that that's the reason why we support indie artists, because I mean some of those people may not have a chance to be on a major station, and I thank God for Lady Shantae and 760. They've always been supportive of my ministry, but I
Mhm.
always keep in the back of my mind, somebody opened the door for me, so I
mhm,
want to do that for somebody else, and I think that's important too. You have to remember the doors and things that God has blessed you with, and even the scripture says, what you measure out, the same will be measured back to you. So I think it's important to keep that in the back of your mind as well.
that's really good. By both of you ladies being in these positions and connecting with people and sharing your stories and being on the microphone, I do want to unpack the importance of transparency when you're on the microphone because a lot of times people see individuals on social media and they just get caught up in the personality online or the person, but you both have a story, you both have a journey. So can you kind of touch on one, the importance of transparency and authenticity, and two, how that has played a role in both of your lives as far as getting to where you are right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's everything, especially when we're talking about ministry, right? So, recently, well, maybe last few months, I've started doing testimony service. Maybe y'all have seen the flyers on my page, where I call people in to share their testimonies, because a lot of us grew up on that, but you don't see that much in church. And I get it, sometimes it goes left, but I still think it's so important for people to be able to share what God has done. And then also those of us who are behind the microphone, I consider myself an open book. I've shared several times, on several platforms about, my prodigal daughter days, right? And I was just doing my thing. I remember, a time where I, was very much, well, I guess I could call it addiction, addicted to marijuana. That's just what me and my friends did. I grew up in church. I knew, but I still had that little time frame where I just wanted to do what I wanted to do. And so marijuana was our thing, right? And so breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That you find it, you do it, and it's just part of life. And I remember when I started coming back to church, you get come that time comes a time where you get sick and tired of being sick and tired, right? And I was going to church, high, and I knew it was wrong, but personally I couldn't stop. Like I knew that I couldn't stop because I still liked it, but I knew it wasn't right. And so I just remember sitting in my car one day and I was like, Lord, I know this is not what you want, but I can't, I mean, I like it. And I'm like, I need you to help me. And I remember, Camille, that day he took the taste from my mouth.
All
Wow.
right.
I did not go back. Now, I know that that's my story. I know he delivers people little by little,
Right.
and so I'm not saying that that's the case for everybody. But I remember thinking, wow, I could have asked this a long time ago. You know what I mean? I could have been set free. But you got to come to the end of yourself. But I share that because I want people to know that Lady Shantae, I've not always been Lady Shantae. number one. Number two, God is a deliverer for whatever it is that you're dealing with. Maybe marijuana for me, maybe porn for you, it may be whatever. It may be,
Right.
some other kind of addiction or the need for attention, right? Or whatever that is that has you has that stronghold on you. God can set you free. And so it's really important to be transparent behind the mic because people need to know that it's not, he's not just doing it for people that you don't know or that you can't connect to. Like, no, he did that for me. He can do it for you. And I remember even telling the young lady who was smoking weed at the time of that exact testimony. And I didn't know it at the time, but me telling her that had her, she just stopped. She told me later on, she said, when you told me that story, I just stopped smoking weed. I said, really? I said, well, what? She said, I just did. It just made me think, wow, I could do that too. So you never know who your testimony is going to help. So I think it's important to be as transparent as possible without being offensive, in the right places
Right.
or whatever. But it helps set people free. It helps people to connect with you even more as a person because we all have struggles. Even the most saved of us, what I'm saying? We all have
Right.
struggles. And I think to be able to share how God has brought you out, I just think that is almost like the epitome of, being a Christian and being able to witness to somebody else. So,
That's
Sheree,
really
sorry.
good.
I'm
Right.
No,
No,
I,
that's
I love
good.
it. No, I love it because I mean, even though I'm a PK and everything, I have my BC before Christ, but I also had my other BC between Christ, where I kind of strayed a little bit. And I think those stories are important. And just hearing your journey made me reflect like, wow, um, I know some people grow up in church, get saved, and they stay there. All of us don't have that, that testimony,
Right.
but even in that, just hearing your story, you sharing that, it gives others the courage to say, well, if he did it for her, then he can do it for me. And I think that's just really good, just sharing, and it makes people feel safer because not all, but some people, particularly in church, can have this persona of just perfect, flawless, do no wrong, and I don't think that's always maybe the most accurate. At times, I call it like a mask because we all have something.
Hmm.
Your thing may not be marijuana, but maybe you gossip or you lie or
Right.
you see things online you shouldn't see. But just being transparent and honest and say, I'm under construction and God has given me the grace and time to get myself together. So I really
Absolutely.
appreciate you being transparent and sharing that because I just hearing the love in your voice, sharing that story and how it impacted that young lady. You don't know what long term what that did for her, just hearing your story. So I appreciate you sharing that with us.
Yeah. And I think even people who haven't been through things like that, that's even a testimony that God kept you. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's a testimony on either side.
Right.
Yes. Cherie, did you have something you wanted to add for to that?
Well, I got kind of tickled inwardly because that's actually a journey that I'm kind of walking through now. Because I
Mhm.
kind of grew up in the era, still kind of that what we would call old school, I guess.
Right.
Where like after you've been saved so long, it's almost like the old saints, they forgot what they did when they were younger. And so
Amnesia.
now yeah, and so they bashing and fussing and getting on to the young people, but so I'm learning that journey of being transparent and asking God for wisdom when to share. And it does. The scripture says also that by the blood of the lamb and our testimonies, that's how we overcome.
Right.
So just having wisdom when to share. Because sometimes people will look at you. Somebody looked at me one time. They was like, "You just look like you don't ever get mad." And I said, "Well, baby, you don't know me at all. You have no idea who I am. You think I never get mad? Dealing with different struggles and anger and low self esteem. Things like that. So I'm thanking God for that journey, and I'm
Yeah.
noticing that even when you're transparent and you are just who you are, you make the connection with people. People are able to relate to you.
Yeah.
That you become human. Sometimes, especially for those of us that are in like the preaching side of ministry, people tend to kind of look at you and they think, oh, this person could have never done this or,
Mhm.
and baby, I told somebody at my church, I was saying, baby, I got some skeletons in that closet. I hope them things will never fall out. I hope the Lord keep them things stuck up in there, honey. Please don't,
Oh no.
so, but it's just, I thank God for for that journey, learning to be
Mhm.
transparent, learn to say, hey, it's okay to say, well, I hadn't always been I hadn't always been in this position, you know, saved, sanctified, and I was doing stuff, on the side or whatever, and but just sharing that so people know, look, if God is able to bring you through all that, bring you through depression, bring you through financial things, bankruptcy, different things if He did it for me, He can do it for you. So that's something I'm kind of learning in wisdom how to share to be more relatable to people.
Mhm.
It's really good. I appreciate that. I do want to turn the corner just a little bit, and this just dropped in my mind. As far as being in the forefront, what do you say to ladies that may be watching or listening later, and maybe their thing is not, marijuana or anything like that, but it's internal, like self-esteem, thought processes, and that internal speech, as far as kind of encouraging and saying, hey, you have a voice, it matters, and the world needs to hear you.
Mhm.
Absolutely. And I would say just start off with being honest with yourself. And if those voices in your head have you feeling a certain way or some type of way, I grew up in the era, and I think me and Lady Shop, we may be around the same age. I don't know, but I don't want to make her as old as me. But
I love
they
look good though, so it don't matter.
thank you, boo. But in our era, or my era, they really didn't encourage therapy. They didn't really encourage going to talk to someone because we don't like to admit it a lot of times in the black church, and then especially like I'll go a step further in the Pentecostal or Holy Spirit filled church. You know, we have to be honest that your pastor may not have an expertise in a certain area. So we have to learn to be honest that if, yes, he can give you spiritual guidance and he can give you what the word says and help you with the spiritual side of it, but you may need to go and talk to someone that can help you sort out the emotional side of it or the things that are going on in your mind. So I think we have to first be honest and don't be afraid to get help. I know I went through a situation, and I think the situation got as bad as it did because I was afraid because of who I was. I was in ministry. I was in the forefront. I was afraid to ask for help. I was afraid to say, listen, I'm struggling with this. And I ended up getting into a deeper pit than probably what I should have just
Mhm.
out of fear. So I would encourage young ladies or anybody, whatever the voices are in your head, get your spiritual help, but also you may need to go a step further. Don't be afraid to get help for what's going on to help you talk through some things. So often, especially for us, again, African Americans, sometimes we don't know how to just have a conversation. You're mad at somebody 3 years when if you had just had a 20-minute conversation, you could have saw where that person was coming from and be like, oh, it wasn't even like what I thought it was.
Mhm.
Just learning to have those conversations, those hard conversations, learning to accept truth. This is a generation now, people don't like to accept reality. You could say the sky is blue and somebody will argue with you and say, no, it's green. You know, it's like people don't like to accept reality. We saw that in the last election and stuff that was going on. We got a whole set of people, whole group of people that don't want to accept reality. you
We're
know,
about to have another election. They still arguing about the last one.
right,
Make
exactly.
make that make sense.
Exactly. So I would just
Wasting
say,
those dollars.
accept whatever your reality is, accept that, get help for it. And because when we're honest, people, that's what God honors. When we're honest, when we're faithful, He will honor that and He will help you.
Lady Shaunte.
I love that. Yeah, the truth is what sets you free, and people don't want to deal with the truth. Um, yeah, that's just really good. Mental health matters, and it's important, and it's real. And I definitely have dealt with depression. I didn't know I was in it
Mm.
at the time. I just knew I was just kind of going through the motions. Didn't really have a lot of passion for the things that I should have been doing. And then on the other side, I was like, I think that might have been, was I depressed? And when I look back at the all the symptoms, and I'm like, oh yeah, that was a symptom of, because depression is not always suicidal or you can't get
Right,
out of bed. Sometimes you're still very functional,
right,
but you off. So it's important to, as Shree mentioned, definitely, get the spiritual help that you need, but sometimes you do need that therapist.
Right.
And you also have to learn how to identify when those things are happening, and sometimes it's just a matter of you opening your mouth like, nope, I'm not thinking that.
Hmm.
No, that's not true. Like speaking, because it's the devil. Let's be honest, right?
Right.
You know what I mean? Let's just be honest. And so you have to combat. You can't do it in your head, thinking the right thought and the wrong thought. No, you got to speak it. You have to talk it out and speak to those thoughts and find the right scriptures to combat what it is that you're dealing with. But a lot of times as well, the therapist that can help you, and sometimes therapists are expensive, so it might not necessarily be somebody professional in that sense, but it can be someone very trusting. Sometimes just talking things out in a safe space
Absolutely.
is what you need to be able to see things clearly and get back on the right path. So it's not always one or the other. A lot of times it's both and.
That's really good. And I don't believe a lot of people realize if you have health insurance, the majority of carriers or providers, they have some type of EAP program, which you get so many sessions free through your health insurance that a lot of companies enrolled, especially since the pandemic, where you can get so many sessions of mental health care with a therapist or counseling for free. I found out about it through my job. I was scrolling, I'm with Cigna, and I was just at work scrolling through, the benefits package. And I was like, oh, I didn't know my company offered this, but we pay for health insurance. But do we really read the packages,
Right.
to see? So for those listening, go through, your provider's package and see a lot of the companies, they do offer so many sessions for free. So check that out. One of the things when you ladies when you were talking, it made me think about something I went through this summer. Like I was feeling heavy and I didn't know why. Just very lethargic, just in heaviness, and I could not explain why I was feeling this way. And so Dr. Carrie Turner and I follow each other on social media. And so she posted something. She was like, hey, ladies, I'm going to do a Zoom call tonight for about 20 of us. And if you're interested, let me know and I'll send you the link. And I was like, sure, I'll hop in. And so during the Zoom call, she had a discussion with us and just what she was describing, I was like, oh my gosh, that's me. And she was saying, particularly for women like over 35, by 35, you've experienced a lot of things. Maybe you thought you were going to get married and the engagement fell off, or you had a job loss. Like you've had some life changes, like things have happened. But instead of taking the time to kind of dealing with those things, we go off and get another degree or we write a book. And it was like grieving on the go. And she said,
Mm,
you have to take the time to grieve the loss. And she started describing all these feelings. And she said, that's grief. And it was like her saying it put language to what I was feeling. And I didn't realize Camille was grieving some things. And I started thinking about my life over the last few years. And because, in our culture, shake it off, brush it off, keep going.
Mhm.
But I had not allowed myself time to grieve the disappointment or the loss or this situation. And as she was talking, it gave language to what I was feeling. And once I had language for what I was dealing with, then I was able to address it, handle it. And it was like immediately everything within me shifted. And the feeling it was fleeting. It left because now I was able to identify it. I knew what to do as far as the internal work. I knew how to shift my prayer to deal with it.
Awesome.
My day to day, it just everything changed. Just having that conversation of talking with a group of ladies and putting language to those feelings. Um, Particularly for Black women, we achieve on the go. It's like a way of coping, whether it's degrees and podcasting and businesses and branding and books, and we're doing all this stuff. But it's like, sis, have you taken the time to really like de- decompress from some of those L's? I mean, yes, celebrate the wins, but you need to process those L's as well.
That's good.
yeah, I like that grieving on the go. That's like That's a word right there. That's a word
Yeah,
right there.
absolutely.
What excuse me, what I think a lot of us do because we don't know any other coping mechanism. It's just,
Mhm.
you gotta still do what you gotta do. You still gotta handle your business. You still gotta go to work. You still gotta perform or whatever that thing is. And so you don't think you have time to grieve, or you don't look at it as grief. You just look at it
Right.
as something that's happened and that you gotta find a way to get over it. And sometimes people find different ways to get through and over things. Escapism, sometimes people use church, and I'm an advocate of church. You know what I mean? But
Right.
they use church work to medicate instead of dealing with the issue, or getting healed, or whatever it is they need to do to address that issue. So I think it definitely is important to be able to identify what it is that you're going through. That's why it's important to have somebody to talk to, even if it's not a licensed therapist, somebody that can see what you can't see and be able to say, think about going left, think about going right, to help you navigate. We're not meant to go through this life alone, whether you're married or not.
Right.
God designed us for a relationship, and relationships help us to identify those areas.
That's really good.
Hmm.
Sheree, did you have anything you would like to add to that?
Baby. Amen. Go right there. Mm-mm. That's good, honey. Amen. Go right there.
And just one final thing I wanted to ask you both before we begin to wrap up this conversation. Um, what do you ladies foresee as far as the future of radio in a world that's constantly turning to streaming and digital?
Oh, oh, that's at the end of the question.
Yeah.
I just think we're gonna have to keep up. You can't just get stuck in just like one mind frame or say, hey, that's the way we used to do it. And here's the preacher in me. Even when Jesus dealt with people, he never dealt with everybody the exact same way. One person, he spit on the ground and healed them. The little girl, he said, "Little girl, get up." So even Jesus, in him dealing with people, he didn't deal with everybody in just one blanket way, or just say, "Well, hey, this is the way that I used to do it." The woman with the issue of blood, the Bible says Jesus was moving, and she moved as he went. So I think, in a sense, that we have to kind of have that mindset of not leaving God or leaving spiritual things, or just being just 100% turning to carnal things. But I think, and that's with radio, and even the church world as a whole, we're going to have to make sure that we keep up. The message doesn't change, but some our method is going to have it's going to have to change if we want to still remain relevant. If we still want to reach souls, reach people, we're going to have to keep up whatever the technology is that's moving a certain way. We're going to have to make sure that we kind of fall in line with that, because if we don't, we're going to fall behind, and we're going to miss opportunities.
That's good. Lady Shante?
Absolutely, she's absolutely right. I mean, any industry, you got to keep up. Things are, moving online. You have to be on social media if you're gonna stay connected with, your audience. I mean, all of those things. I don't necessarily think that radio in itself is going anywhere, because there's still that community element that radio
Right.
has that streaming can't give you, to a certain degree. So there still be some form of radio, but yeah, we have to evolve with the methods. We have to find different and new. I mean, people's attention spans is not the same,
Right.
anymore as well. Even like what you're doing, Camille. I just want to commend you on your speaker, podcast, and all the amazing guests that you have. I'm sure I can speak for Sharita. We're just honored, that you thought of us to bring us on your platform. But these are the type of things that we have to do to make our niche, right? To
Right.
keep our voice, and especially in gospel music, because now gospel music is not just black gospel and white gospel now, like gospel and Christian music. Like there's so many different avenues that gospel has gone down, and so just even with the music,
Yeah.
we just have to continue to stay connected to what's happening, right? Find new ways to connect with our community and our listeners so that we can stay relevant, because, people still like to get in their car and turn on the radio. They can have
Right.
stereo XM and all of that, and they're going to listen to it. But there's still going to be that time where you want to hear what's going on in your city, what's going on in your community, what happened at
Absolutely.
that church. You know what I mean? So the community aspect of radio is still very important, and I just don't see that going anywhere. But we do need to do our part to stay relevant.
Thank
Absolutely.
you. I really appreciate that. Before we wrap things up, do you ladies have any like gems or nuggets just from this conversation, like takeaways, and then also what you may have up and coming, what's on the horizon for you, and then where people can contact you on social media?
Sherry?
You always make me go first.
Why are you
Um,
doing this, Shree? You don't stand out.
because I'm like,
It's
as far as
amazing.
the radio industry, I'm still kind of new to that. I'm loving it. I'm
But
loving
this
what we
place
do.
all over
And
America. I don't
she's incredible
understand.
at it. She's incredible at it.
But I just the biggest thing I think the biggest takeaway from this conversation, I really enjoyed the part about the relationships. I heard someone saying it might have even been your pastor, Camille. I can't remember. They talked about how it's not just about money, but it's about those connections and the relationships that you build. That's the hot commodity now. So
Yeah.
we have to keep that in mind. And we're still just trekking through everything. As far as like the radio, I'm loving being with 760. Like I absolutely love that. Uh, with them every Sunday morning, 8 o'clock, that Sunday morning sound, and that's one of my thing. I want to keep gospel. You know, I'm a lover of music, and I love all genres or respect all genres, but I'm really striving to keep that churchy hand clapping. I don't want us to lose that. You know, it just kind of seems like everybody feels like they have to do the little pretty worshipy, and there's nothing wrong with that. I love it. You know, I go in on it, but I want to keep that the
The
gospel sound
soul of
gospel.
gospel. Yes.
Yes, the soul of it. Yes.
Really good. And then anything that you have up and coming, books, promotions, and then where people can find you on later on social media.
Well, I know in the next, I think it's next week. Actually, we're having a revival here in Nashville. The Wiped Out revival,
Okay.
worship intercession. You might have to help me later.
Prophecy, expectation,
Prophecy
deliverance.
and deliverance. So we're having the. I think that's going on November 9th and 10th. Am I right, Lady Shaunte?
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be there the 10th, November the 10th. So I'm excited about that. There's another event that's going on the next day. Nate Bean is having on the 12th of November. So I'm really excited about that. I love when you're talking about revival and people getting that refreshing from the Lord. That's something that excites me. That's right down my alley. But
Yeah.
you can reach me everywhere on social media at Shree Isabel, Shree is a bell, just like it sounds. You can also reach us at Isabel Radio. So if you're interested in connecting with us for our radio station, you can reach us there as well.
Hey, it's
Yes.
Minister Wilburn. Hey, from Spirit and Truth. I love him and his wife, Dr. Wilburn. I have to shout them out. They're amazing.
Oh
Um,
yes, I love them. Yes.
yes,
Hey,
actually.
Matisa.
And I'm definitely gonna put your information there in the lower third. That way, if someone would like to connect with you, they can do so via social media on Instagram. I really appreciate everything. Over the years, people don't know I met Cherie at Zion Upper Room. I was like 12 years old.
Yup.
And I
Well,
had little
nothing wrong.
long ponytails and Coke bottle glasses, and I would just sit there like, and I would sit in the back with Mika and Trina.
Oh gosh, you went way back. And
Yes,
y'all, I'm not that older. I'm not that older than Camille, but I always acted older. That's probably why she thought I was grown, but I really
I did.
wasn't.
I didn't even realize. And then also, Cherie is my sister's godmother. For a lot
Uh
of people
huh.
don't know, so we go way, way back. With the Newman, not Newman. Lord jeez, I'm sorry. The Isabel Williams family. See, that's
Yeah.
I remember you from.
Right. Exactly. You
So
fine.
sorry. Hey, Dr. Wilvin, she popped in. It's becoming a family reunion.
Hey.
Yes. So yes, love Dr. Wilvin. I love them both. They're amazing. She said, hey. Uh,
Hey, sis. I love her. She is absolutely amazing.
what's so crazy? I was telling Dr. Woodman, I didn't realize we were in such proximity. I'm like, but how did I not meet you? Like, we know the same people, but I didn't meet her until I started attending Spirit and Truth in Atlanta. And I was like, that is wild. Like,
Right.
but
And I don't think I've ever met her. We've never met officially in person yet.
okay.
So we're gonna have to make that happen somewhere. But
Yes, yes, indeed. And then also, Lady Shaunte, what do you have going on? Anything new? Books, ventures, businesses? What's next for you? And then where people can find you on social media.
Yep. Well, like Shree said, and she is churchy, and I love it.
Me too.
Yes, she's churchy, and we're honored to have her as a part of our content on radio on Sunday morning. She brings her flavor and her churchiness, and I just love it, and I love her. So thank you, Shree, for all that you do for the Nashville community and beyond. And we just actually, as she said, we'll be having a revival next Thursday and Friday. So we definitely want to encourage everybody to come out who can. We just wrapped up our fifth Sunday gospel brunch. So we're doing that every fifth Sunday. Cherie was one of our artists, one
Nice.
of the Sundays as well. And so we're planning for December. So I want everybody to look out for that. And got some other things coming in 2024. But,
Love
I'm just
it.
excited about what God is doing, just open to the new things. You can follow me on all social media at Lady Shantae. So thank you, and thank you, Camille.
You're welcome. And again, I really appreciate you both. Just for taking the time out of your busy schedule to sit down and talk to me. Um, I can't express how much I admire you for all what you all are doing there, not just in Nashville, but just across digital spaces and showing up and making women, Black women, and save Black women look really good. So thank you so much. Um, I think we have maybe one more live episode remaining until we wrap up the A side of the speaker podcast within this season. And then we're gonna go on sabbatical because I start school on Monday. So y'all pray for me.
you got it, girl. That's
and
all right.
and then but we will have streaming things and there may be some pop-ups here and there, so don't count us out totally. So that's why I need you to subscribe now and hit that notification bell. Be sure to follow me on Instagram at Camille.Essick and hop over to YouTube. If you enjoyed this conversation, you caught the end of it, you can catch the replay. It will air again right after this episode ends. You can catch it there, and there are also other amazing episodes there as well, in addition to I am streaming on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Pandora. Just recently picked up by Audible. I'm on Alexa. Also got picked up by AfroPods, which is like the African
Okay.
version of iHeartRadio. So now I'm streaming in continental Africa. I'm really excited about that.
You better go
So
ahead, girl.
Yes.
About us, honey. Don't forget about us as you ascend.
look, if I'm streaming, y'all streaming. So we are streaming in continental Africa. So I believe in building platforms and bringing your people with you. Community is very important. I would not be here without you all. So I'm very thankful for that. And I continue to just watch you, from the sidelines and cheer for you because I think you all are just amazing and really dope and gorgeous. So thank you
Oh.
so much. And hold on right quick. We're going to wrap up everything. Um, I hope you all got something from this conversation and we said something that really touched you or that you could resonate with. I would love to hear from you. Be sure to, if you want to, please email me at the speakerpodcast@gmail.com or slide them a DMs politely, respectfully, and just leave a comment or share here. And with that being said, you all be blessed. Have a safe weekend. Stay warm. It's chilly. Stop being a thug and turn on the heat. You know you were cold. Stop that. It is chilly out there.
I got my space heater right under my feet.
All right. And y'all be blessed. Thank you. Good night.
Yeah.